Good. Well, we're going to go ahead and get started. It is 5 after. I assume other folks will join us as they come in. My name is Lauren Merton, and I am the Executive Director of Social Venture Partners Cincinnati. On the phone today, we have some of our partners. We specifically have Sophie Snowart and Rick Talbot, who are this cycle's Project Accelerate co-chairs. We also have Kelly Enright, who is our Assistant Director, who's letting people in, and she's also somebody that you may see on emails and stuff, so just be aware who she is. I'm hoping that you guys can put your emails in the chat so we can follow up with you guys and send you the recording of this, and then also send you the presentation. So let me see if it works. So today, what we're going to hopefully do, I'll give you an introduction to Social Venture Partners Cincinnati for those of you who may not have a full understanding of what we do. I'll toss it off to Sophie to give some information on an overview of Project Accelerate, because it is fairly new. It is our second iteration. And then we'll talk through the application process and criteria, look at the calendar, and then talk next steps. And we'll also answer any questions. So Social Venture Partners Cincinnati is Greater Cincinnati's home for engaged philanthropists. And what that means is that this is an organization for individuals and companies who really want to do more than write a check. They want to use their business expertise to invest in the community. We're part of an international network of 3,500 partners that was started out in Seattle about 26 years ago, all with the notion of combining your business expertise with your financial investment, and how that can really amplify giving, can go beyond giving in the different communities where we are. And the SVP model has expanded to about 40 plus affiliates across the globe, mostly in the US, but there are some in India, there are some in China. And our purpose is simple: to really work locally and invest in those nonprofits to help each of the communities. So let me see. In the past, what we've done, it's just going crazy. We had two main programs historically. Our Investee program is a program where we would basically adopt a nonprofit for a period of 3 years. We would give them $20,000 a year, so a potential full grant of $60,000. But more importantly, our partners would invest their time and their business expertise into the different nonprofits. Here are the ones that we've worked with in our 15 years in Cincinnati. A really great example, I think, of the types of work that we've done would be Family Nurturing Center. Years ago, when we were working with them, we went in, and Family Nurturing Center, if you're not familiar, they handle the supervised visitation for foster children in Hamilton County. So they're set up with little cubicles where the children can come in and visit with their biological parents. So Family Nurturing Center had a giant binder that had a page for each child in the system. Sadly, it's giant. And so whenever anything would change, the page included their name, their biological parents' names, foster parents' names, addresses, phone numbers for all of those people. And when anything would change, the foster parent, the phone number, anything, they'd put a Post-it. So as you can imagine, this binder is exploding with Post-its. And, they know that there are better ways to do this. They know that there are database systems out there, but they don't have the money to invest in a consultant to come in and tell them how to do that. They don't have, the money to buy the iPads. They also don't have the expertise to say, here's the database system you're going to use, and here's how it's going to work, XYZ. Because they're busy doing the work of the nonprofit and helping these children, as they should be. With their partnership with SVP, we had partners who have IT experience that were able to come in and do exactly that and set them up with that sort of database system that is now fed through an iPad. All the social workers have their iPads. So when anything like that happens, it gets fed back in. Right now, the two that we're working with, we've got Women Helping Women. We're working very closely with them in their final year of the Investee program on their Work Strong program. And we just announced the first ever Project Accelerate investee is Refugee Connect. So we're working with them on their Health Navigator program. So that's super excited. I don't know kind of what the signature program, signature projects that we'll do with them are yet, because we literally just had the first meeting last week. The other thing we did, and I don't have a slide on it, was Fast Pitch, which I'm sure some of you are familiar with or have heard of. And we were the original nonprofit pitch competition in Cincinnati. Now it seems like they have a whole bunch of them. And that we did for 7 years, and we've trained more than 150 nonprofits in Cincinnati on how to do that storytelling piece. So if you look now, those were our two main projects. We had, our impact to date, we've contributed more than $2.5 million. We've had 12 investees, that 3-year program. We've done, more than 50,000 hours worth of pro bono consulting on a variety of business areas. 7 years of Fast Pitch. And we, as I said before, we trained more than 150 participants in that storytelling piece. And our Cincinnati partners, they're such a great group of people. They range in age at this point, probably from 25 plus. I don't put a upper end on there. And they're a range of people. They're people who are just starting out their careers. We have some folks who are sponsored by the organizations that they work with and are knee deep and in high level executive roles. We have other folks who have retired from the big jobs around town, who are looking for ways to, continue to contribute and to use that business expertise that they built. And, the one thing that they all have in common is that they really want to do more than write a check. They want to go beyond giving. And so it honestly makes for a very nice job for me, because it makes for a very nice group of people to work with. So with COVID, we took a step back. We took 2020 to say, okay, we are doing great work here in Cincinnati with our investee program and with the Fast Pitch program. But how do we do more? Because we recognize that the needs were going to increase, the needs of nonprofits were going to increase, coming out of COVID. And I don't know that I hesitate to say we're out of COVID, because we're definitely not. But I think we will still feel those effects for a long time to come. And so what we wanted to do was figure out a way to use what we're good at and what we do very, very well. So to take that idea of the business expertise investment paired with money to really amplify the effect of our giving. And so we did that by coming up with Project Accelerate. We just finished, as I mentioned before, our first cycle of it. So you guys are lucky. The second cycle, I think we've worked out all the kinks, but I'm going to pass it over to Sophie to talk through what Project Accelerate is and how it all works.
Wonderful. Thank you, Lauren. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Excellent. All right. So I am one of those people who retired from P&G and joined SVP about 1.5 years ago. And I was fortunate enough to be engaged in Project Accelerate as it kind of started. So what are we trying to do? It's an enhanced community impact and investment program. And as Lauren was saying, it builds on our success of the pitch storytelling competition, as well as a 3-year single investment program, but with the intent of expanding the impact and the benefits beyond that one organization that we had as an investee. It also has given us as partners more opportunities to contribute. And as Lauren was saying, that's what it's all about for us. If you could move to the next slide, please. All right. So we're going to get to the meat of what is Project Accelerate, kind of what is its intent, as well as what are the different steps. So if you could stay on the previous slide for just a moment, that would be great. The reason why you're invited is because you're all working on socially innovative ideas that are intended to change the world, to enhance equity and opportunity for everybody, that hopefully ideas that create effective and sustainable and just solutions to some of our society's biggest and longest challenges, hard problems that people face, and ideas that reflect that lived experience of the people they intend to serve. So that's why we are inviting all of you to apply. And with that, then moving on to the next slide, what do we want to do? In Project Accelerator, it's essentially an accelerator program, which some of you might be familiar with from investing and the business world. But in this accelerator program, which consists out of 3 phases, we build from phase to phase on the work that was done in the previous phase. They're also a funnel. So you can see at the bottom of the slide that last year we had about 40 plus applicants, of which we selected 12 to enter into the explore phase with us. 2 dropped out, so that's why we ended up with 10. We then went through a few weeks of work, and I'll tell you about each of the phases in the upcoming slides, and I'll take a pause as well to see if there are any questions. We selected 4. And then most recently, we selected Refugee Connect as our investee for the next 2 to 3 years. Okay. Are there any questions so far? Very good. I'll stop after each phase for more questions. So in the first phase, what do we want to do? It is essentially working with, if you were to apply and if you were to be chosen, with your organization, your idea, to set up a partner coaching relationship with you, where you will get individual coaching from a little team. So we'll assign somewhere between 2 to 4 partners to work with your team. And we'll have individual coaching sessions as well as some group sessions where you'll meet some of the other nonprofits as well as the other coaches, with the intent of doing 2 important things. First, it is to articulate very clearly your elevator speech, or as we call it in business terms, your value proposition. What are you really all about relative to your stakeholders, the people who are trying to serve, but maybe also the people you're trying to partner with, etc. And this is intended to improve your ability to articulate that mission that you have in a storytelling, very compelling way. We have long history, as Lauren was saying, of doing that. And when you watch those pitches that the organizations have come up with over the past years, it's very impactful and touching. And it's something that organizations can continue to use for fundraising purposes, engaging volunteers, you name it. The other thing we want to do in those 8 to 10 weeks through that coaching and the individual coaching of your project, as well as the group sessions, is getting very clear on what your biggest challenge is. And we said other than funding, because funding is a challenge for almost everybody. And we assume that most organizations will be looking for help with funding as well. But beyond that, and why do we want to do that? Well, first of all, it's really important for your sustained success that you're clear on what your biggest challenges are and that you're able to overcome those. But this is where the nonprofit and the business expertise of the social venture partners is really going to help you. We're going to work with you in the next phases then to overcome those challenges and go from challenge to opportunity and long-term sustained success. This work, which is 8 to 10 weeks, will culminate in a concept reveal event where your organization will have a short presentation. Based on those presentations, our partners will vote on the smaller group of organizations who will go to phase 2. Each participant of phase 1 is guaranteed $1,000. And the time estimated that you will need to put into it, and of course that we will put into it as well, is about 15 hours in total. We are imagining 4 group sessions and 3 individual sessions. That means your project and your coaching team, including the concept reveal event participation. I'm going to pause and see if there are any questions on this or any builds by Rick and Lauren. Okay. I'm usually counting to 10, but I'm giving you a little bit more time in case you're trying to get off mute. But interrupt at any time if we're moving too fast, okay? So we have now selected somewhere between 4 and 6 nonprofits to enter with us into phase 2. And this is where we will be working together to really refine that challenge statement that you have identified from the first phase into potential solutions. We're starting to work those solutions. And we use kind of an entrepreneurial business framework to help you do that. Your coaches, some of the coaches from phase 1 may continue in phase 2. We like to have some continuity. But last year we had additional coaches join in phase 2 based on what the organizations needed and where the passion of the partners was lying. But we use that business entrepreneurial framework to help you really dive deep into what are your challenges and how, importantly, how are you going to overcome them and how can we help you overcome them? So we have created several topics and content to teach or take organizations through, for example, competitive analysis, management team, financial projections, fundraising, marketing plans, sales trainings for additional revenue generation or even fundraising, and potentially others. And we can grab from those topics to really help you through that challenge that we're going to work to solve together. Last year, we kind of asked everybody to go through all the topics, and we found that this was not really useful. So this year, we're going to make that much more a la carte. You and your coaches will decide which of these topics are really going to help you get to those solutions that you're looking for. And we will deep dive on the topics that collectively we think are most relevant. But should the time go on and you say we really kind of were more clear on, for example, fundraising than we thought, and now we're starting to scratch our head and say, you know, we need to go generate revenue, and how do we do that? We can always tap into the other projects. So we'll be there to make sure that your needs are met. All of this will also result in an event, an idea exposition event, where you will have a presentation. Again, these are short presentations, 5 minutes, and then some Q&A, where you'll repeat some of your pitch, but you'll talk about that challenge statement proposal or your business plan moving forward, and how, as you envision together with your coaches, SVP could help you in that relationship that comes with the investee in phase 3. Each organization will now be guaranteed, who has participated in phase 2, $2,500. And the time estimated is at about 20 hours total. Honestly, last year, it ended up being more time, which is why we said we need to do this much more a la carte and targeted, because we know that capacity is always one of the big challenges in the nonprofit world. So we'll envision about 3 group sessions. We have heard from last year that the different nonprofit organizations really benefited from these group sessions because they also gave them exposure to the other nonprofits we were working with. And we could see some parallels. As a matter of fact, some of them are, even though we are no longer working with them this year, they are continuing to stay in touch and work together. All right. So a pause here for phase two. Are there any additions by Lauren and Rick, and any questions?
I would add that, last year, and I think this would be the case this year, if there is an organization or your organization wanted, more time, our partners are the type of people that they're gonna, they're super excited to work with you. So, you can be absolutely free to say, wait, you're overwhelming me, or to really jump in and soak it all in, and I think this way too, kind of really having it more customized, is going to be really very interesting for the participating organizations. And I will also say that I don't know if you guys are aware of it, but the 4 who were in this, who went through to this phase last year, just as an example, Refugee Connect, I mentioned. It was also Rise Up News, which is the newspaper for folks in jail. St. Francis Seraph Ministries for their Stitched Industrial Sewing Program, and Transform Cincy. So, just as an idea of the, it was a big range within the 4 of sizes and types of organizations, but that might give you an idea of the stuff that did well last year.
Lauren, you bring up a good point. Of those 4, such as Rise Up News, the help and the coaching was for the total Rise Up News program. On the other hand, the Stitched program, which is one of many projects of St. Francis Seraph Ministries, a long-term philanthropy, we worked on that specific project. So it can go either way. Things that are really small still, or something, a small idea that needs help within an established organization.
Great point.
Any questions? Very good. Let's move on to phase 3. So we are now starting phase 3 with Refugee Connect. As Lauren said before, this is one nonprofit, a 2 to 3 year relationship. 2 to 3 years, because sometimes it doesn't take 3 years to work through the project. It can be done in a shorter period of time. Sometimes it takes all the time, and that's important. And now that one organization gets a dedicated team of SVP partners to really solve the problems and the operational, both strategic and operational challenges that the organizations face, just as Lauren was explaining before. It can also be that, what is the challenge known today, maybe that evolves in a year and a half. So we evolve too. The partners are not the lead. We try to keep a lot of stability in the lead partner. But again, it depends on how the needs of the organization change, and we bring in partners as needed. So I have the pleasure of working with Women Helping Women, and it became clear that we needed some sales help. All I did was write a note to our partners, and literally within hours, we had identified several people who volunteered to help. And within a week, we had a draft sales training available. It's really quite miraculous and fun to work like that for us. And also importantly, the annual grant is $20,000. So that becomes more substantial. We evaluate every year. Our board evaluates every year what the deliverables were, what the progress is, and then we jointly decide if we want to continue moving forward. Because sometimes the organization might say, we've come a long way, we really appreciate the help, but we're good. It's a partnership. the time required there is from experience, and SVP has multiple years of experience with this third phase, the investee program, is somewhere between 5 to 10 hours per week. And there are always peaks and valleys in those. It doesn't mean 10 hours every week, 3 years long. It could be that that's the peak, and then there might be times where it slows down a little bit. Anything to add, Lauren and Rick?
Yeah, one thing to add to that is that it, also that 5 to 10 hours a week, that's probably a bigger number, but it can be spread amongst your organization. So maybe you have your marketing person, if you have one working, on a marketing plan, or, it's not one person necessarily having to devote that much time.
And it really depends. I would say that in the last year now that we are working with Women Helping Women, it's not nearly that much for them or us. But it's very, very driven by what is needed and making sure that we have a good cadence of making progress. If there are no questions on phases 1, 2, 3, then I will pass it on to Rick, who's going to talk about who's eligible and how do you apply and what the timeline is.
Thank you, Sophie. This is really, really easy. All you have to be is a 501c3 and just have a really socially innovative idea that we can really make an impact in the community. So it's that simple. We know in the past we had a lot more stipulations, but we really feel like we want to have a vast reach to as many organizations as we can in the tri-state area. So we've simplified our eligibility so that we can generate a lot of new ideas. The application also has been simplified. If you were involved years ago in our prior process, we are down to about 6 questions. You can see the 1,500 character max. So we are, sorry, just pausing on a thought there. So we basically are looking for some demographic information, and then we just want to learn more about what your idea is, how you think it will make a socially innovative impact on the community that you support. Have you even worked on the idea at all? If you have, do you have any results? And what are some of your challenges with your idea that we may be able to help solve with you? So it's pretty straightforward. I would expect all of you probably, if you have the idea in mind, could sit down and craft this pretty quick. And then there is the option, if you want to submit a 1-minute video. I will tell you, we did not get many of those last year. So that is, don't feel like, oh my gosh, I had to do that to be in the running. I think the 4 we picked last year did not submit any videos who made it to this phase 2. So, and then there is just the perfunctory legal release that we have to do. So that's something I'm sure you're familiar with, and nothing unusual there. So really about the application, we just want to get as best an understanding of your organization and how Project Accelerate can help your idea. We want to see how you are thinking through it from a staffing perspective, from a support perspective within your team. Again, is your board involved or aware of what you're trying to do? How is it going to make an impact from a socially innovative and equity-based perspective? Where do you see it impacting the community? Who's your target population? And so that we have a good feel for that. And again, I mentioned the challenges as one of the questions. Where are your challenges there? And then I talked about the board too, in terms of who's buying in from it. So, and it may not just be board members, it may be other external stakeholders outside your organization who are also interested in supporting your idea. So again, it's really our opportunity over that page or two to really get a good understanding of your idea and your organization and how you're planning to address it. Last and most exciting is the timeline, of course. So the application will be available beginning Monday, and we will leave the window for completing it open till August 15th at midnight. That's a Monday. So feel free to reach out to Lauren. We'll give you her email address on the last slide here with questions, but we're giving you about 3 to 4 weeks to get that completed and submitted to us. We will be looking at the applications the end of August and then making our decision to get this launched mid-September for phase 1. Our goal is to get it wrapped up by Thanksgiving so that everyone can have an enjoyable turkey day, don't have to worry about SVP and all that we're doing. And we'll give you a break through the holidays and then pick it up with phase 2 for those organizations that are selected to go forward. And we will dig into that after the new year. And we go through pretty much the end of April, at which time we will select that next organization for the realize phase of phase 3. Questions at this point? Was that clear as mud, I hope?
Well done.
Andrew, I'm thinking of mud. My son is an Eagle Scout. We were up at Freelander quite a bit getting muddy.
That's great to hear. Yeah, it's Freelander's packed as we speak, actually.
I bet it was. He was the first week every year.
It's great.
Great organization.
So
Any
if questions come
reaction?
up,
If there are no questions, any reaction, anything that you would like to say? We'd love to hear from you.
it's Friday afternoon, so everyone's quiet. If questions come up after, we'll make sure, if you have not done so already, put your email in the chat. We'll make sure to send you the recording as well as the presentation. My email address is lauren@svpcincinnati.org, and it'll be in the presentation as well. Kelly, maybe put that in the chat real quick too. And let us know if questions come up about the program, about the application, or whatever we can do to help you guys. And hopefully we'll see applications from you all. All right.
Well, we sincerely thank you all for attending today. We look forward to getting involved with all of you, some way, shape, or form. Right, Lauren?
Hi, this is
Absolutely.
Stacy. I have a really quick question. How many applicants do you generally get?
It has ranged. So Project Accelerate last year was our first year doing it. We had 42, 43. In prior years, we would do a joint application for Fast Pitch and to be on our investee, and we've gotten 65 plus, depending on the year. So, as our second year is going to Project Accelerate, my hunch is that we'll get 40 to 50 again. That's my hunch, but we only have 1 year under our belt, so I don't really know.
Great,
And
thank
We
you.
hope to.
And it's great, Stacy, that you asked that question, because we were getting, as Lauren mentioned, 50, 60 or so in our prior model. And we always felt like we're only picking one and we wanted to make a bigger impact. So that's one of the reasons when we redefined what our process was and launched Project Accelerate, we could reach out to more organizations and make a bigger impact more broadly. So that's another reason we changed.
Well, thank you. This has been very enlightening. This is the first time I've heard of you, and I think it's a great concept. So thank you very much.
Well, and if you have
Great.
questions about, if some people maybe think, well, I don't know if my idea is socially innovative or not, don't hesitate to reach out to us and, still apply, and we can certainly help you on that. I think that I've
And I
heard some
will
people
say-
are scared by that, but we're not trying to do that.
And I'll say too that the application is very purposefully not your typical grant application, because it is very, we wanted to alleviate the huge burdens that can often come, and we were guilty of it as well. The 1,500 characters is roughly, what do you say, Kelly, like 350 words, per each of those questions. So hopefully it won't be, a big burdensome grant application to do.
So I have to laugh, Lauren. You saw me hesitate there on that slide. I saw the 1,500. I'm like, I thought it was 350. When did we expand it to 1,500? So I had
You
to
get the
chuckle
1,500 in your head
Right.
and you think it's the words, and it's not.
Right, that's what threw me. So I had to recalculate quickly.
Yeah. The form for the application, actually, it has to be characters. So that's, I would put it as words, but There we are. Well, thank you guys, and let us know if questions come up, and everybody have a wonderful weekend.
Same to you. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Absolutely.
Joining us.
Bye,
Have a good
guys.
day. Bye-bye.